You have been lied to. They told you to work hard, save a little, retire at 65, and call that freedom. But if 40 years of labor ends in counting coupons and checking the calendar before you check your dreams, what do you call that? You were not born to watch your best years disappear under fluorescent lights and polite emails. You were not born to trade your soul for a salary and your purpose for a pension. The world doesn't reward obedience. It rewards the thinker who steps out of the line, the builder who refuses to wait, the man or woman who decides, my life will not end rented out by the hour. Listen closely, because if you miss this, you may work to the grave and still die poor. You believe in hard work, and I honor that. But there is a truth the world hid from you. Money obeys directed thought, not time served. A person can labor a lifetime and be passed in a year by the one who learned to command their mind. One digs with a shovel. Another designs shovels, trains sellers, and licenses the system. Who ends up free? The answer has never changed. The system you were offered was never designed to make you rich. It was designed to make you useful to someone else's wealth. School trained you to sit, memorize, repeat, wait for permission, and fear mistakes. Jobs trained you to exchange your hours for security. Retirement asked you to delay your life until your body is too tired to enjoy it. This isn't a conspiracy, it's a machine. And machines have outputs that match their inputs. The input was obedience. The output is a polite version of slavery. Before we begin, take a moment to declare it. Write it in the comments so the universe can see your intent. I attract wealth. Every word you type is a seed. Plant it now. I will speak plainly. If 40 years of effort ends in dependency, who owned your life? The good news is that ownership can be claimed. If you are willing to change how you think, how you speak to yourself, and how you move through a day. Napoleon Hill discovered what the rich do long before they are rich. They choose a definite chief aim. They well desire to faith. They instruct the subconscious by autosuggestion. They organize a plan. They ally with other minds. They persist until the invisible becomes visible. These are not slogans. These are laws. Break them, and nothing breaks through. Obey them, and the world adjusts. Say this out loud. Even if it feels strange at first, I refuse to sell my life by the hour. I build ownership, not dependence. I was not born to wait. I was born to command. Let's take you out of the fog and into clarity. Hard work without direction is a treadmill. Direction without belief is daydreaming. Belief without habit is noise. Habit without purpose is prison. Freedom is when all four line up. A clear aim, a living faith, a daily rhythm, and action that builds ownership. When these align, time stops being something you sell and starts being something your assets use while you sleep. Now I want you to see it with more than your mind. Close your eyes. Yes, even if you're listening on a couch or in a small rented room, and breathe in for a count of 4, hold for 4. Exhale for 6. Do it again. Inhale for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. As the breath slows, the noise of the day loosens its grip. You're about to look at 2 lives, and only one of them is yours to keep. Imagine you at 65 if nothing changes. You wake in a room that is quiet in the wrong way. The alarm is gone, but so is the urgency, and without purpose the day has no edges. Your knees ache when you rise. You shuffle to the table where the mail waits. There are statements, balances, calculations written in the margins. You turn to the page that decides your week. The calendar of bills. You were promised a golden age. You received a careful rationing of survival. The worst part isn't the numbers. It's the smallness of the horizon. You were too busy to build when you were young, too tired to build when you were old, and somewhere between both you forgot what building felt like. Let that scene sit in your stomach just long enough to tell you the truth. That path is unacceptable. Say it softly. Not my life. Not my end. Now watch the scene dissolve, as if a curtain were pulled. The same age, the same calendar, but the air is different. Charged, spacious. Morning light falls across a long wooden table where a leather notebook lies open. On the first page is a sentence in your handwriting. My definite chief aim. You run your fingertips over the ink. You don't check the mail first. You check your mission. You walk through a home you own, paid off by assets that pay you. You glance at a whiteboard with the week's objectives, investments to review, partners to call, a foundation meeting after lunch. There is laughter in the next room because people you love are not stressed by the end of the month. You aren't retired in the passive sense. You're liberated, engaged on your own terms, and the feeling that fills your chest isn't luck. It's authorship. This is a life built, not waited for. Breathe and look at both scenes, side by side, as if you're standing in a gallery. Which canvas is you? Don't answer with words. Answer with decision. Step physically in your imagination from the first canvas into the second. Hear your foot fall on the floorboards of your chosen life. Feel the strength in your posture. Notice the quiet in your mind. This is the first act of ownership. When you decide your identity, the world reorganizes around it. Say this now: I step into ownership. I think like a builder. I act like an owner. I move with purpose. I am done renting my life. Understand this next truth, and it will save you decades. Retirement, as sold to you, is a leash with a ribbon. Work now, live later, they say, as if life will wait. It was designed to prevent revolt, not to deliver wealth. The plan was simple. Get you just secure enough to keep you obedient, just hopeful enough to keep you from asking questions, just afraid enough to keep you from leaving. But wealth is not saved. It is built. Wealth is not earned by staying. It is compounded by systems that operate when you do not. You cannot stash your way into freedom if your entire engine is hours for dollars. You must build engines that run while you sleep. This is not a call to recklessness. It is a call to precision. Your job can be a tool, funding for your freedom, an entry to a room, a laboratory for learning, but it cannot be your strategy. If your plan is work here until 65, you do not have a plan. You have a postponement. Purpose does not begin at the age the HR booklet recommends. Purpose begins when you make a decision. We need to rewire the place every result is born, the subconscious. It obeys the words you feel, not the slogans you read. It listens to the images you rehearse, not the opinions you scroll. So I'm going to sit you at a table that most never reach the table of the free. Close your eyes again. Slow the breath in for 4, hold for 4, exhale for 6. You're walking down a hallway lined with framed blueprints. Ideas turned into empires, scribbles turned into skylines. The hallway opens into a round room with a large oak table at the center. There are 7 chairs and 6 are already occupied. These are not ghosts. They are the distilled qualities you need, wearing the faces of those who mastered them. To your left sits Andrew Carnegie, the architect of organized power. He doesn't speak yet, but the air around him hums with the idea that one mind becomes many when it learns to orchestrate. Beside him, Henry Ford, sleeves rolled, eyes calm, radiating the law of simplification and scale. Across from you, Thomas Edison, patient fire in his gaze, the embodiment of persistence married to experimentation. On Edison's right, a quiet chair holds a journal and a pen, the seat of definite chief aim itself, as if purpose were a person at your counsel. Next, a posture of quiet generosity and stewardship. The principle that money multiplies in clean hands. Then a presence of disciplined planning, pages of notes clipped together, edges worn from use. Finally, a clear, unblinking figure. Faith, not as religion, but as the felt certainty that moves mountains because it moves you first. You take the 7th seat. No one dominates the room. You are not beneath them. You are among them. The council is your own mind organized. A hand slides an envelope toward you. On it is written, "What do you want?" You open it and find a blank card. This is where most people freeze. They wait for permission. They wait for evidence. They write small so they can't be disappointed. You will not do that. You take the pen. You write your definite chief aim in a single clear sentence, not a paragraph of excuses. not a cloud of someday. One sentence that could be carved into stone. You write it slowly, the way you would etch a name into a ring. When you finish, you read it aloud. Your voice shakes, then steadies. The council nods, not because they approve, but because you finally took the position of author. Carnegie speaks first, and the words are simple. Organize your power. The right minds will multiply yours if you bring clarity. Pick up the plan page. Write 3 actions that obviously move the aim forward, not 10-3. Label them 1, 2, 3. Commit to completing them with humble excellence. Place the page down. Open the ledger. On the left, write where value will flow in as a result of today's actions. On the right, write 2 places where your money must stop leaking. Subscriptions, impulsive purchases, vague expenses. The ledger reminds you money is a reflection of value directed by attention. Place it down. Pick up the phone. Look at the 3 names. Say them aloud. Imagine the exact sentence you need to say to each one today to move the mission forward. Place the phone down. Touch the prototype. The thing you're building. An offer, a product, a service, a piece of media, a page of writing. Feel the texture of progress. Say, I build before I broadcast. I ship before I shine. Place it down. Set the timer for 40 minutes. See yourself beginning one task without distraction, finishing it, and logging the completion. Place it down. Now stand in front of the mirror. This is the hardest object on the desk, because this is where you tell the truth. You look at yourself and you say, I am the kind of person who does what I say. I am the kind of person who moves while others wait. I am the kind of person who thinks like an owner and builds like a craftsman. And you hold your own gaze for 3 breaths so your nervous system learns that this isn't a performance, it's an identity. Open your eyes. You've just rehearsed a new day. Repeat it enough, and the day will stop being rehearsal. It will be your rhythm. I want to dismantle one more chain that looks like gold, the idea that school prepared you for freedom. School can train hands. It rarely liberates minds. You were graded for repeating, punished for original timing, praised for fitting. But wealth isn't earned by pleasing authority. It's created by serving value. They told you to fear mistakes more than mediocrity. That is how empires of average are maintained. The rich are not reckless. They are revisionary. They try, measure, learn, try again, faster than most people can judge them. If you were trained to be obedient, forgive the training, bless the teachers for what they meant well, and then outgrow it. Education is liberation when you choose the curriculum. Definite aim, value creation. Sales is service. Leadership is stewardship. Money is measurement. Time is a tool. Let's carve your aim in a way your bones will remember. Sit comfortably, shoulders relaxed. Imagine a hall with high ceilings, quiet as a chapel but alive like a workshop. At the far end, a stone slab waits with a chisel resting on it. Walk to the slab. Your sentence appears faintly on the stone, like a watermark. Lift the chisel. Each word you carve is an act of will. You do not rush. You inscribe. With each tap, you breathe in through the nose, out through the mouth, and feel the tiny shock travel through the chisel, through your palm, up your arm, into your chest. When the last letter is cut, blow away the dust. Run your fingers through the grooves. Stone remembers. So will you. Now say it once with eyes open, once with eyes closed, and once with no words at all, just the feeling of it being already so. That third repetition, the wordless one, is the one that opens the lock. You are ready to move from ceremony to practice. Here is the simple pattern that will outproduce 10 complicated plans. Morning command, wake earlier than your excuses. Read your aim aloud. Write 3 actions. Repeat 1 core affirmation with feeling. My mind commands wealth. My habits build freedom. Then begin 1 meaningful task before you check the world. Midday alignment, 2 minutes to ask, am I on plan or on drift? If on drift, choose the smallest high-leverage action and do it before anything else. Evening review, write 1 win, 1 lesson, and 1 trim. Something you will say no to tomorrow. Read your aim again. Fall asleep with the feeling that you are the person who keeps promises to yourself. Sleep becomes your ally. The subconscious is most obedient at the edge of sleep. To deepen the groove, we'll install a second-long visualization. This one turns faith into architecture. Close your eyes. You approach a structure rising out of a quiet field. It isn't flashy. It's precise. This is your blueprint temple. The door unlocks to your touch. Inside, 6 pillars hold the ceiling. Each is named, and each glows from within. The first pillar is desire. Place your palm on the stone and feel heat. Clear, clean wanting, not envy, not desperation. The inscription says, I permit myself to want. Speak your aim into this pillar and feel the heat sharpen into focus. The second is faith. It hums like a tuning fork when you touch it. The inscription says, I see it as done, and my life moves to match. You breathe, and let a still certainty settle, a quiet that feels like truth before proof. The third is autosuggestion. This pillar has grooves, like it's been touched 1,000 times. The inscription says, I program my mind with my own voice. You hear yourself repeating your aim and key affirmations, not as a chant, but as a vow. Your name sounds different when you speak it with respect. The fourth is specialized knowledge. Shelves appear around the pillar, each labeled with the few skills that multiply your aim. You reach out and take one book, just one, and feel the weight of focus. The pillar says, learn precisely, apply immediately. The fifth is organized planning. Blueprints hang from hooks. You unroll one labeled quarter, another labeled week, another labeled today. The inscription says, clarity reduces fear. You feel your shoulders lower, not because the work got easier, but because the path is now visible. The sixth is persistence. This one is the thickest. When you touch it, your heartbeat feels a half-second heavier, like a drum. The inscription says, I don't stop, I adjust. Around its base are 1,000 small scratches, the marks of attempts. You smile at them because now you understand that every scratch is a vote toward inevitability. In the center of the room is a 7th structure, lower than a pillar, more like an altar. This is the mastermind. It is made of interlocking stones, other minds, other strengths, fitted so tightly together you can't slide a blade between them.